There's a growing demographic of bikers on WA roads, but they're not as intimidating as they might look. The number of motorcyclists in their 50s and 60s is on the rise, but so are motorbike-related injuries and deaths. While they argue you're only as young as you feel, there are concerns that the skills of older riders aren't what they once were, and they're putting themselves and others at risk. Charlotte Hamlin reports.
Leather-clad, engines roaring, they're taking to the open road in droves. Then they stop off for a cuppa and head home in time for lunch. This is the growing phenomenon of the returned rider. Guys and the odd girl who rode motorbikes in their 20s gave it up and now are back.
I sort of end up going back to bikes. Somebody said, "Oh, you need a hobby." I was told to play sport and everything, so I thought, well, I like riding motorbikes, so perhaps I'll get back on one. When you're riding a bike, you actually are concentrating on what you're doing, but you're not thinking about all the other worries in the world. So I just find it's quite good therapy. Yeah.
A lot more people are getting out there, and a lot of those people are more mature people who've got the kids off the hand, the house is getting paid off, they have some spare cash and they want to have a bit of fun, and a motorcycle is certainly the way to do it.
Motorbike sales in WA are at an all-time high. But so is the number of motorbike crashes on WA roads.
If you've got middle-aged men or women going back to riding and they don't have the skills and they don't have the understanding that they don't have the skills, then it really is a disaster waiting to happen.
Motorbikes represent about 7% of all registered vehicles in WA, but last year they accounted for 20% of deaths on our roads. Authorities say it's not necessarily the young and inexperienced that are the biggest problem. Statistics show that riders between the ages of 30 and 50 are well overrepresented when it comes to motorbike fatalities.
Awesome. Just look where you're going, look where you're going, look where you're going.
Now the RAC is running a campaign targeted at returned riders, encouraging them to refresh and improve their skills.
Okay, that was a little bit dirt bike style. You had your foot down. Now you mean if you lock up the rear, let it go. Take your foot off straight away.
A lot's changed in 20 years. Motorbikes themselves have changed. They're a lot more powerful. Our road network has changed. There's a lot more cars and heavy vehicles out there. Your body as a rider has changed. Your flexibility, your agility, your reflexes, your reaction time. You've got to acknowledge that the skills that you may have had 20 years ago have been diminished because you haven't been out there practicing it day after day.
One of WA's more well-known returned riders is Police Commissioner KARL O'Callaghan. He first learned to ride at 18, rode with the police force early in his career, then had a hiatus of 20 years. Nowadays, he acknowledges his skills, the roadscape and modern motorcycles have changed.
What returned riders tend to do is they go out and they buy a big bike. It is a sort of a midlife crisis or even a retirement investment. And some of these big bikes are very heavy, they're cumbersome to ride, you've got to think about your riding, and sometimes I don't think these people think about it.
What we're trying to do in these days is really simple.
Andre Bazile runs motorcycle training courses and says while he sees a number of returned riders who are keen to regain their confidence on the roads, more need to follow suit.
They watch a TV, they watch MotoGP, they see Casey Stoner do something quite extraordinary on TV, and they said, "Oh, I got the same bike, I can do the same." Unfortunately, their confidence is really high, but their actual riding skill is not there yet.
On the road, older riders concede they're not invincible.
They do make the bikes go pretty fast these days. They're very easy to ride. You get pretty complacent on them.
Are your skills the same now as they were when you were first riding?
No. No, I think I'm no longer 17 and bulletproof. Basically, it's concentration. If you look around, you veer. When you're young, you look around, you don't veer. It's the same with car drivers, bike drivers.
But can more be done at a legislative level to protect these riders? WA's current motorbike licensing laws allow a person to go from a relatively small 250cc motorbike to applying for an open licence under which they can ride something far more powerful. There's a push to change that system.
Well, I've been advocating for a long time that in Western Australia we should adopt the LAMS system, which is the system they have in the eastern states, which allows new riders to ride a bike based on the power to weight ratio.
It's long been recognised that our licensing system, which allows riders to go from a fairly low powered bike to open slather, simply isn't good enough. We are playing catch up with the other states. The government and the Department of Transport, to its credit, is now working on that. It's long overdue. We've been promised it for this year. Let's see it in place.
When you're ready, guys, just start the bike, queue up at the end.
In the meantime, authorities continue to push for returned riders to overcome their pride and brush up on their skills.
Wouldn't it be nice to get on with me neighbours? But they make it very clear they've got no room for ravers.
You've just bought yourself a wonderful new bike. It says $25,000. For goodness sake, go out and spend $150 and get yourself a couple of lessons so you don't hit yourself or your brand new sparkly motorbike.
You're making a serious investment in a motorbike. Make some serious investment in training to keep yourself safe on that motorbike.
Lazy Sunday afternoon, I've got no mind to worry. Close my eyes and drift away. Close my mind and drift away. Close my eyes and drift away.
Riding to live. Charlotte Hamlin with that report.